let me get your thought on this. I mean, we've asked the question. For those you are one of those who are tweeted also that there are elements within your party. Who are these people?
Well, first of all, let me say that I'm on all fours with what Governor Nasir El-Rufai has said. It's very obvious to me that a few people within our own ranks are not too comfortable with the emergence of our candidate and are clearly working against us. Now, let me tell you what that doesn't mean. That does not mean that the president himself is working against the candidate. That's out of it. I don't think anybody has said that or is suggesting that. However, like in any organization, any institution, there are a few people within that place that, for reasons best known to themselves, are clearly trying their very best to engineer policy in a way that will affect the fortunes of our candidates and of our party. And I think that's probably what Nasir El-Rufai was trying to say. Some of them are in the villa. Others are heading institutions that are under the government, that were never part of PDP anyway. And that's always the problem when you have a technocrat where you really don't know where his heart lies, running major institutions, for example, like Central Bank and so on and so forth. My own view, and I've said this for quite some time, that there is some kind of conspiracy going on. You see, the problem is this. They know that when we go to the field later on this month, Asiwaju is going to win this election hands down. We have 22 governors with us, all solidly with us. We have 5 that are likely to support us in the presidential election, making 28. They only have 8. And of course, the third party and the fourth party have absolutely nothing. So we're very confident as we go into the field, and our candidate is making waves everywhere. So the only way he can be stopped now is through the activities of blacklegs, turncoats, backstabbers, and liars, and people that want to undermine from all over the place, create policies that are clearly unacceptable for this time, clearly uncomfortable with the people, and will cause resentment in the land for everybody, not just against the ruling party, but against virtually every politician. And I think there's another agenda in that as well, which I'll come to later.
So let's clarify this, because when you ask the question about this, you might, is it right to call them fifth columnist?
Yes, certainly.
I mean, the question is, are they members of your party?
It is not every person that is working in the villa that is a member of the APC. I've been in government before. They may be, they may not be. And I, can assure you that even if they are, they have their own inclinations, they have their own motivations,
what
they have
what
their
is
own
their
reasons.
agenda?
Well, perhaps you should put it to them. But what I'm trying to tell you is
because we're speaking to you to find out.
Their agenda is certainly not to do the best for Nigeria, to do the best for the APC, to do the best for President Buhari, or to do the best for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That is their agenda. Create obstacles in our path to ensure this transition does not go smoothly.
What is the end goal of these people? Are they working for another candidate?
Well, this, like I said, I guess it varies. My own view, and this is just my view, is that some are, but I don't see how that's going to go very well, given the fact that the opposition are really so weak when it comes to, what's going on the ground.
Which candidate could they have been working for?
I'm saying that some of them may be working for those that I consider to be very weak, like Atiku. I don't think he's a strong candidate, like I've said before. But I don't even think that's the major issue. My own view is that there is an attempt, in my view, and this is just my personal opinion, to create chaos in this country for everybody and to pave the way for something completely different. This is what I see going on. And I must tell you that I find questionable the policies of the governor of the central bank as at today. I don't question the policy itself, I question the timing of the policy. People are suffering, people are going through hell, people can hardly achieve anything. And I knew as far back as Christmas that this is what they were going to do. Let me put this to you. How would you feel, for example, if in a week's time, people still can't get cash from the banks? What effect do you think that will have on the people of this country? How do you think it will make them feel? Those in the rural areas and so on and so forth. Yes, it's a policy. We need a policy, a cashless policy, ultimately. But why is it being introduced at this critical time? It will lead to nothing but suffering, resentment, hatred of not just the ruling party. And this is why those on the other side don't get it, but of every single member of the ruling class. And you're trying to provoke an uprising in this country to ensure that everything scatters and this transition does not go anywhere. That's what I think is going on. And I'm sitting on your program today pointedly accusing the governor of central bank of having a hidden agenda. I've never known of a governor of central bank that will be outside the country, challenge the security agencies, come back, ready to be arrested, and he's being guarded by soldiers. Who posted the soldiers there, and how come he has that kind of power? I've never known a governor of central bank who was summoned to come to the House of Reps how many times until the time, and he refused to go until the time they threatened him with arrest, and he quickly went there and made a few concessions and said, okay, I'll postpone for a few days, I'll postpone to the 17th. Even with that postponement, it doesn't mean anything. Nigerians are suffering. They're suffering today, and they will continue to suffer throughout this month. And I say it again, mark my words, it will be very difficult for people to get new notes until after the election because there's a hidden agenda as far as I'm concerned. They'll tell you, oh, the commercial banks are not releasing notes. It's not it's a lie. The truth of the matter is that they will not release those notes to the commercial banks because there's a hidden agenda. And there's so much more to this. That's just one front. There are other fronts in which they're fighting democracy and fighting us all. And as far as I'm concerned, this is not for any political party. It is simply for those that are interested in having an ING in this country and pushing us all to one side. And that, I think, is the greater enemy. Our enemies are not the Atiku. The enemies are those that don't want democracy.
Yeah, is there a reason why some of the complaints, especially by the political elites, are coming from your party?
Complaints about what?
About the CBN policy.
Well, maybe because we're a little bit more sensitive and a little bit more discerning. Because let me tell you this, any politician, or indeed any human being that does not have empathy for what people are going through. You've seen what's going on at the banks even today. You've seen people fighting at ATM machines. You've seen a situation where overnight somebody will say you can only get 5,000 naira from your ATM card. Go to the rural areas, how people are stuck. We get calls all the time. There's no money. Markets are closing.
Other than that, I mean, is this reason for the part? So I'd like to show you.
What I'm trying to tell you is what I'm trying to tell you is that you don't have to be an APC member to sympathize with somebody that's going through that nightmare and that hell. It's hell for these people.
The opposition think that there is an ulterior motive.
The opposition have their own ways
and
of
so
thinking.
This, I mean, what their thoughts are that there's a reason why members of your party or leaders in your party voiced out as soon as the SCBN says he's mopping out the old notes out of circulation, because part of the plans of the CBN is to curb the issue of vote buying.
Oh, really? And well, first of all, we don't do that, and we don't need to do that. We never needed to do that. But they don't vote. They don't buy votes as well. If that's the issue, we have no problem. We have no problem if that was all there was to it. But it's the consequences of this ridiculous policy at this time you have to think about. It's not about who will win in this election now.
That's presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, who in the headline to the statement released today, he said that he was telling the governor of the CBN not to succumb to blackmail. And I read some portions of the statement. He says that the anti-democratic elements who are pretending to be Democrats are the ones ganging up against the CBN because of the currency redesign and the cashless regime it seeks to enthrone.
Okay. Fine.
That's portion of the statement coming from Atiku Abubakar.
May I respond to that?
Absolutely.
Let me tell you what I have to say about that. Nobody in the history of Nigeria, as far as I'm concerned, has indulged in vote buying and more corruption when it comes to this kind of thing than Atiku Abubakar at every election he's ever run. That's number one. Number two, the reason he's saying that, and I'll tell you this for free on national TV, is because they know what they're planning to do themselves. They know about the special app that they have. They know about the number of people on that app that they've already collated, so they can be sending credit to them on the app. So when they don't have cash, they'll say, well, Atiku is sending you 10,000 naira throughout the election period. They have a plan for this. They know what they want to do. And what we are saying is this: they should stop pretending not to be the biggest cheats and liars and thieves in the history of Nigeria. They are not the people to moralize about this. Go to the rural areas, go to the poor places. In some parts of this country, there are no banks. There's nothing there. Most of Nigerian people do not have bank accounts. Are they supposed to open one overnight? Highly insensitive comment to make. So people should suffer simply because you have an app, and that app you're going to be sending people money and say, hey, have credit. You can cash the money later. Their plan, and they're working with CBN, is to ensure that no money comes out at all in this country up until the end of March, up until the end of February. That's their plan. But you know something? Whether they do it or they do not do it, APC will win. Ashiwaju will win, not just win, will win hands down, and will flog them and defeat them to the cleaners.